Outside Nigeria, a passenger boat carrying mourners to a funeral sank on a lake in northwestern Democratic Republic of Congo, killing at least 40 people, with more missing. The accident, which happened on Wednesday on Lake Tumba in the northern Equator province, involved 3 large canoes that had been attached together. Provincial Interior Minister Crispin Molai confirmed that 40 bodies have so far been found, as well as dozens of survivors. He noted that there are still a number of people missing. The boat was carrying the body of a deceased woman and more than 200 people to a funeral. Puto said witnesses had told officials the boat ran into large waves. May your soul rest in peace. We move on to development in Israel. Israel is now under fire after Tehran launched retaliatory strikes on Tel Aviv on Friday. This move follows Israel's attacks on Iranian military and nuclear targets early on Friday. Meanwhile, Iran confirmed in the evening of same day that it had fired hundreds of various ballistic missiles towards Israel in what it described as the beginning of its crushing response. Large explosions were heard, and video from Tel Aviv showed incoming rockets and smoke rising amid city's skyscrapers. According to the head of Israel's emergency service, 7 people were lightly and moderately injured. Let's look at this latest now with global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa. He joins us from Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much for giving us your time. As we speak, Iran has
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you. Talk to us about your immediate fears with this latest barrage of retaliatory missiles.
Well, it's going to be expected. Iran is going to retaliate because of what happened to, their general yesterday. So the thing is, this cat and mouse game Israel and Iran is playing. At the end of the day, who are the people suffering? It's just, the average Israelis and the average Iranians. And you would expect that by now they would have come to terms about this hostility and everybody mind their business. But, from time to time, the world is, I wouldn't say shaking because it's always something about to happen and it usually happens. So we'll see after the missiles have landed. We'll see how many people, how much damage, they've caused to Israel, and then Israel is going to do what? It's going to retaliate, and then we'll go back and forth on it. This is not the first time.
The responses so far from world leaders, the U.S., for instance, says it did not support the strikes, but that it continues to defend Israel whenever that became necessary. How do you see the tensions escalating?
Well, Israel's biggest supporter is U.S. People may have concerns about that. People have voiced their concern about that, but that's not going to change. Trump had sent message to Iran to come to the table to talk about their nuclear program, and some of the things put in front of Iran. Iran said we're not going to do that, and so. That discussion is in limbo, and now you have these two countries that they hate each other for whatever the reason. So people can justify the reason for the hatred, but it doesn't augur well in 21st century. That instead of peace and prosperity, we have these conflicts that are popping up all over the world. It's a distraction. It puts everybody on edge, and then. People just go about shaking their head. What are we going to do differently? I don't think anybody has a magic wand, not America, not Trump. Even though he said he will get to it, but then he could see the riots going on in America. So, Trump is not going to split himself into two. He's still going to confront what is, happening in his own country and try to deal with it before he pays attention to what is between Iran and Israel.
The wider Middle East, what is the implications here? There has been, I mean, it's already unstable. With this escalation, what do you see happening?
Well, this is the first day of Iran retaliating, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens over the weekend. You know, of course, all the neighboring countries and all the countries that are in that region, everybody's now, you know, putting their own military resources on our backs, you know, in case this thing is a cross-border thing. Because sometimes, you know, it's not just between Israel and Iran. It might be some other people, you know, Yemen, you know, Bahrain or Saudi or Jordan or, you know, Syria. You know, the Palestinians might not get encouraged and start to send their own, you know, salvo into Israel. So we don't know, but we're hoping that this is just some of those, you know, like I said earlier, cat and mouse game, and then they will, you know, kind of quieten it and then see how long that staying quiet is going to help them. But if it doesn't, you know, you can be assured it's going to be a regional conflict, because they're going to be sympathizers on both sides who are just going to join in, and then this gives them the reason to do what? To support Israel or to support Iran. Because, you know, we now have many rogue nations, and their concern is to see that this conflict don't end. Because, you know, in a conflict like this, people are making money. They don't care about the, you know, lives that have been destroyed. You know, the things that are going to be destroyed physically, they're going to be rebuilt. So, you know, they are waiting to see, hey, when do we get back into business to rebuild what we intentionally destroyed?
Quite unfortunate. Let me just add this quickly before we let you go. The U.S. government believes the strike will force Iran to make definite commitment in pulling back its nuclear ambitions. Do you see Iran truly being brought to its knees?
Well, I mean, Iran is a sovereign nation. They're gonna try to defend themselves. You know, no matter how wrong that decision is, you know, they're gonna want to do something. And you know what that thing they're doing, you know, how does that resonate in the eye of the world? But you know, no matter how tiny a country is, when they get attacked, they're going to respond. You know, they may not respond in the formal way of military versus military. They may respond by having their own people go in and, you know, do terrorism. You know, because now terrorism has become an aspect of retaliation, because they're now saying, you know what, we can match these people weapon for weapon. So we're going to send our people into those countries, and we're just going to inflict whatever damage we think we're going to do. So we don't know, but I'm hoping again that, you know, this weekend, all these things will, you know, calm down a little bit, and maybe they start to have some talks. You know, Trump wants them to stop their nuclear power program, and they say, no, we're not going to do it. And that's where the talk is, you know, whether they've, you know, offered some new incentives for Iran to do it, but Iran is saying, we're not going to do that. Is there another way to force them to come to the table? I don't know. A sanction hasn't worked, because, you know, when you do the sanction, you know, they find a way to go around it, and they're still surviving.
Ejike, thank you for the insights you've provided. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.